I'm going to read to you the 4 schools of thought on what must be done with a Muslim who leaves his faith. And by the way, I'll tell you ahead of time, he must be killed. And the Saudi Arabian Constitution, which I referred to a moment ago, I want to read to you 3 more articles. Article 38. Penalties shall be personal, and there shall be no crime or penalty except in accordance with the Sharia or organizational law. Article 39. Information publication and all other media shall employ courteous language and the state's regulations, and they shall contribute to the education of the nation and the bolstering of its unity. All acts that foster sedition or division or harm the state's security and its public relations or detract from man's dignity and rights shall be prohibited. This is speaking about preaching the gospel. Muhammad talked about the danger of division and disunity when it came to religion. And the origins of killing people for preaching the gospel start with Muhammad himself. I continue. The judiciary is an independent authority. There is no control over judges in the dispensation of their judgments, except in the case of the Islamic Sharia. In other words, the judges are bound to uphold Sharia law, which is what the next article I'll read to you says. The courts will apply the rules of the Islamic Sharia in the cases that are brought before them, in accordance with what is indicated in the book, that's the Quran, and the Sunnah, and the statutes decreed by the ruler which do not contradict the book or the Sunnah. So the judges are bound by the Saudi Arabian Constitution to enforce Sharia law. All right, what is Sharia law? Okay, there are 3 main pillars of Sharia law. 1 is the Quran. 2 are the traditions of Muhammad, his Sunnah or his Hadith. This is what's been said here again and again in the Saudi Arabian Constitution. And 3 is the ijma, the consensus of Islamic scholars. Muhammad said that God would not allow his people to be deceived if they were in total unity. All right? If they were in total unity on something, that they were right. And so part of what Islamic jurists do is they look for consensus, for unity among the 4 schools of Islamic Sharia thought. I'm going to read to you now what actually, you know what, let me take a break. Should I take a break? I'm going to take a break so that I'm not rushed. And again, looking back at what Obama said, that we want to defend people changing their religion and freedom of religion. Sharia law does not allow freedom of religion. In Saudi Arabia, in their constitution says, we're going to uphold Sharia law. Egypt, in their constitution says, they're going to have laws that reflect the traditions of the Prophet. Pakistan says that we are going to have a government that submits or that obeys the principles of Sharia law, that their laws and their culture will be based on it, on the traditions of Muhammad. These are supposed to be some of our greatest allies in the war on terror. But the truth of the matter is that these governments terrorize their own people. Do you see the hypocrisy, the insanity of what Obama is saying? But worse yet, when Obama speaks about the glories of Islam and that Islam is a religion of peace and it brings out the best in people, it's a lie, okay? This man is facing a beheading because he tore pages out of the Quran. I want to tell you one other thing before we take this break. I have friends who in Washington, D.C., tore out pages from the Quran in front of the White House, pages that called for the death of Christians. Tore pages out in front of the Quran. News cameras were all over the place. We were seen literally all over the world. And Muslim imams in 3 separate countries called for those men who tore up those pages to be killed. Why? Well, because it was insulting Muhammad. That's a capital offense. And Sharia law teaches it. So, God save us. People, I hope that you see why I'm spending time on this. Islam is a threat to the church, and it is a threat to human freedom and human dignity. And every place it has brought its heel down on the back of the neck of humanity, it has resulted in bloodshed and oppression. That's how Islam got started. That's how come it swept from Saudi Arabia throughout the Middle East, North Africa, all the way up into France in the 700s, because of the sword and the implementation of Sharia law. When we come back, I'll show you what Sharia law says is to be done with an apostate Muslim. Do you want to get America out of the hands of wicked and unjust men and women who are destroying the republic before our eyes, and put leadership back into the hands of righteous men and women so that we don't die as a nation? Well, you're talking about social revolution, and there are rules in social revolution. We can look at the victorious social revolutions of the past, such as the end of slavery, the end of child labor, women's voting rights, the end of segregation, and so much more, and learn from their victories. Look at their actions, their images, their rhetoric, their sacrifices, and their final fruit. We will send you this series that originally cost $129, 7 books for students, 1 teacher's guide, if you'll give a gift of any size and just pay for shipping and handling. Take advantage of it today.